Oh, hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to another airplane taking off right when I start this stream. Thank you very much. That's what happens when you live by an airport, right? I'm working on this guy right here. This is our General Lee. It's a 1/16 scale model kit by MPC. Chapter 21, I believe. Yes, we're going to run the intro and we're going to find out what's next. Okay guys, we're back. We are back and we're going to continue on the build. Still continue, always continuing. This seems like the build that will never end. Last time we did our chrome trim around the windows. So we got that all done. Our windows are all chromey and yeah, well the trim is chromey anyway. Off camera, while I was finishing up the trim, I thought I might as well do the panel liner in our door frames, and I'll just right there on the hood. Don't have to do that on the trunk because the trunk, well, it has natural panel lines because the trunk actually comes out. And same with the hood, obviously the hood opens, but the doors don't, and so I wanted to make sure that you can see that. I didn't use black panel liner this time. I actually used a brown. I used, to me, a brown panel liner just to give it a little more, you know, natural, like dark, super dark, orangey kind of look. Anyway, so yeah, that's basically what we did last time. I got to keep looking down on my screen because for some reason I keep dropping frames and my stream stops and airplanes take off. And yeah, I decided the car needs to have windshield wipers. So I happen to have a file downloaded of windshield wipers that I had that I could 3D print, but they're completely flat. So I had to alter them a little bit to give them a little bit of a curve that would be more natural. I printed off a couple of sizes here, and I spray painted them with the Revell chrome spray. And so these are going to sit for a little while before I even try to touch them, because I'll show you something. Revell chrome spray, even though they say it's pretty durable, that's what we got. And yes, it looks very shiny and it's almost like real chrome. But I'm going to touch right here on this corner. I'm going to put my finger right there and just kind of press down on it. Okay, and lift up and smudge. That's right, because it's fragile for like a good week. Okay, so I'm not even going to touch these guys. I want them to remain nice and shiny. So those are going to sit off to the side and those are going to wait. In the meantime, I've got to go through the instructions, because, you know, like I said, I put this on pause and I stopped building this thing. I stopped working on it for I want to say a month, something like that. It took that long for the orange paint to arrive so that I could paint the body. So I don't even know what the next step is. So I got to go through the book here and have a look and see what is all done. I think we've finished off step 9, 10, 11. Finished off our, you know, our interior. I suppose putting on the wheels, we could do that. It's funny, they show, this is funny, because this is the, you know, the kit is the General Lee, but the instructions are not for the General Lee. Even though, yeah, the front page, you know, General Lee, sure, yeah. That's the only General Lee page in this. The rest is all NASCAR, including the assembly of the roll cage. They want you to do the whole cage, including putting your rearview mirror onto the cage, onto the bar, onto the crossbar. Well, that ain't gonna happen because I don't have a roll cage like that. Engine's done. That's all finished. All these step 19 to 26, that's all done. 27, that step never happened. We don't need that. 28, yeah, we've got our rad in there. We've got our door panels in. Glass, we could put glass in today. How about that? We did our window trim. How about we do the windows? So here's our body. I gotta grab the windows. Windows are in my nice dusty plastic bag, and that's exactly why I keep these sealed until it's time to actually use them. And unfortunately, you know, a lot of kits, they have other things like clear light lenses and stuff like that, and so you don't get the luxury of keeping your window bag sealed until the day you need it. But there we go. And I'll just leave this because I got my tail light lenses. Actually, it don't matter. They're just red lenses. We might even get to that part today. I don't know. Well, assuming it's not going to take me an hour to put my glass in. I mean, if it takes an hour to put the glass in, then I really don't know what they were thinking. They got this held on the sprues nice and solid. That's nice. I'm going to cut off this one first. Go. This is where sharp nippers really help you out, because clear styrene is much more brittle than regular styrene, so it's a lot easier to crack and to break, which is what happens to a lot of guys. They'll get a crack right down the center of their window, and then they're like, oh, they'll run to the forums and ask, what can I do to fix it? Absolutely nothing. Okay, so we got to clean up my little nub here, and I like to use my razor file on this stuff because it does nice clean job, and make sure it's nice and smooth, and it almost polishes it. It's really a fantastic product. I really recommend Razor. Okay, I recommend this thing. I'm not sponsored by them or anything. They didn't give me any money to say that. I just love this thing. It is one of the best tools I have for cleaning this stuff. It is the absolute best tool I have for cleaning up nubs. I will say that for sure. No, without a doubt, the best one. That is a hefty nub. Okay, we got a good flat surface going here. There we go. How are you looking? You need a little work here. All right. A little bit on this edge here. Okay, there we go. Nice, clean, trimmed glass. Now, let's see how this all fits in here. Rear window, drop in here. We've got quite a bit of extra room, but, whoops. Question becomes, which way is it supposed to go? I believe you're supposed to have it. See, it's got that little bit of a funny edge to it there. That should be facing the thing. That shouldn't be facing down. I don't believe so. No. So if I put it in with that kind of facing up, we got a big, huge gap there, and that just seems wrong. So this way is the way I'm going to put it. Like that. That looks a lot more natural and a lot more proper. Okay. So There are different things you can do to get this glued in. Now, of course, my go-to is Tamiya Extra Thin. And some guys will say, don't use that, you're going to fog up the window. I literally have never had Tamiya Extra Thin. I've never had this stuff fog up my window. I've had it fog up headlights, but I've never had it fog up windows. Because I just touch it on the corners. Oops, I just pushed open my trunk. Because I only apply it on my corners and let the capillary action just run along the edge. And that's it. And that's all I rely on for keeping my windows in. If you need more than that, because you've got really poor fitment or something like that, that is unfortunate. And then maybe something like the Elmer's glue would be your friend. And I could do that, but the thing I don't like about Elmer's glue is it's not super permanent. I could accidentally push the window in later on. But you know what? I'm going to go outside my comfort zone, and I'm going to use the Elmer's glue on this instead of my my normal go-to, the Tamiya Extra Thin. I'm going to move this out of the way so that I don't accidentally knock it over. And I'm going to grab my Elmer's. I like the clear one. The clear one works really well, and it disappears. If you guys were following my channel, you guys who watch my stuff all the time, the build I just recently finished, the Ferrari F50, the headlight lenses, I used the Elmer's on that, and even though when I put the lens on there, you could see the little bit of the line of the glue through the clear, as half an hour later, that little line of where the glue line was totally disappeared, and you can't see it. Check out my Instagram. You'll see pictures of it. You can't see it at all. It's really fantastic. Okay, so let's do it on this one. So what I'm going to do is put a couple little daubs. How about dabs? I was thinking dab and dot at the same time. I'm going to use my little CA glue applicator so that I can do really small little daubs and not rely on the glue nozzle being my go-to. Again, I'm still just going to do the corners. Maybe along the bottom here I can get away with adding a little more. Different spots. If I can avoid it, I don't want it to squeeze out through and actually show. But you never know, right? Okay, I think I got enough there. Put it in a spot I think is supposed to be where it goes. You don't want to move it around too much because then you're just smearing the glue on the glass. And you don't want to do that. Of course, I would rather pull up with my finger than actually stay down. There we go. I would like to put something down on it, something with a little bit of weight, just to hold it down. You know, and yeah, I can get away with it with my finger, but let me see. What can I do? What could I use? What can I use? If I use a jar of paint, it might just roll away on me. I don't really want to use a jar of glue. Maybe my flashlight. If I can get my flashlight to just lay down on it and not roll anywhere, See, as soon as I do that, it slides away. And that's the problem with this kind of thing. If I can convince my flashlight to stay in one spot. Well, there, that works. Okay. So I'm going to let this sit just like this. I'm not going to touch it for like a good 5 or 10 minutes. Okay. I want my glue to hold. In fact, before I go, I'm just going to add a little couple of drops more on the corners here at the bottom. Ever so carefully. It's a lot more glue than I would normally do, but it's also a much bigger kit than what I normally do. So I'm just going to let this sit for 10 minutes or so, okay? And then we'll come back once this is done, and we'll take the flashlight off, and we'll continue on with the windshield, okay? So I'll see you in a few minutes.
Later.
Okay, so we're back, and we're going to continue on. It's been, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. And I got some weird stuff going on right now. Now that I'm back, just hold on a sec here. I don't know why that's up. Okay, getting a feedback loop. That's no good. Okay, so let's remove my flashlight here, and we will work on the windshield. I still don't want to touch the rear window because it's still, like, if I were to touch this glue, it's probably still really tacky. Yeah, still really tacky. So I want to leave it. Okay? So let's change the camera here. And let's work on our windshield. I don't want to touch our rear window. We want to just leave that. So let's see how our windshield fits. Let's put that in here. Drop that down. How does she fit? It looks like our points of contact are right along here and there, and maybe up at the top here in the corners. Maybe just a little touch right here in the center. Our curve doesn't really match here. I can see a little bit of a gap on our corners as it bends around there and there, but definitely here and along the bottom here and here for sure. And maybe in this corner here. So that's where I'm going to apply my glue, is in those spots. Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, okay, so just pop this out. Actually, I'll just put it here. Like I mentioned before, this stuff does dry clear, but it may also dry glossy. And, well, that's no good. Especially if you've got a nice flat colored interior. I'm not 100% sure if I'm getting contact at the top here, but I'm going to put some glue there anyway. And a little bit more down here. Okay, I think that's enough, at least as a starting point. I'm going to stick my finger through here to help guide me in aligning that. There we go. Okay. I was definitely right about it making contact here. It doesn't look like I got any contact in the top here. Well, maybe if I hold it down. I might do my little flashlight trick with this as well. except my flashlight is too long. It's going to press on my rear window. I don't want to do that. I do want something that's going to be a little bit heavy, just not too heavy. I could try Thanos' glove. You wonder, what have you got Thanos' glove for? Well, it's an infinity gauntlet. There we go. And this actually is made of metal, so there's that. Okay, I want to add some in the corners here, but the bottle is a little thick and cumbersome. There we go. Okay. So, once again, 5 to 10 minutes. We'll let this cure a little bit, and then we can move on and do something else. Okay, so I'll be back in a little bit.
Later.
Okay, so we're back. And if you guys were watching me live, because I didn't actually stop streaming, I just started doing something else as I wait for this. I grabbed the rearview mirror, and if you guys watched me, if you guys watching live, you saw that I scraped all the chrome off of the back of this mirror to make it look a little bit more realistic. But I noticed something on the rearview mirror in this kit. It's a real interesting little thing. I'll change the camera, and you can see this weird thing that they did with this mirror. That is the mirror face. Ignore all the black paint on my thumb, but look at the center of that mirror. They've got something molded in it in the center there, and that is really weird. I've never seen anything like that before, and I have no idea what that's for. So, of course, I scraped away the chrome around it. I still got a little bit to touch up on the back there. And so we're just cleaning this up. All I'm doing is just scraping off the chrome because, well, that's, you know, it's just a chrome piece of glass put inset of a black plastic surround, and that's all rearview mirrors are. It's very rare to actually have a chrome surround on a mirror. Anyway, and of course I removed the chrome on the very tip here so that the glue will glue it in. Let's remove our infinity gauntlet. Bing. In case you're wondering, it is this bottle opener. It's a bottle opener. Bing. That's all that is. I just thought that was cool when I saw it, so yeah. I have an infinity gauntlet bottle opener. Okay, so our rearview mirror, let me get my tweezers out from under here. Rearview mirror, instead of going on the roll cage, is going to attach. I'm going to put it right here, right there in the center. That's where I'm going to put it. So I'm going to put a little dab of glue on there. And then get this guy put in. A little dab of glue on there. And try and get it centered. Basically, where I want to put it is where I need to leave it. Hold it as absolutely still as I can. There we go. I'm gonna let that sit for a minute. No, I'm not. Aren't you nice? Aren't you so nice? Well, at least the glue had a moment to soften the plastic. But with this stuff, once it's let go, you have to reapply. I'm going to put it in the exact same spot. I'm going to tip this down just a little bit. And maybe gravity will help me out. Tipping the body up just that little bit. Now, unlike most of my other builds, I just put the mirror in straight. A lot of my builds, I'll put the mirror in just a little bit cockeyed. That's like, you know, the driver has actually adjusted the mirror so that he can see. I normally do that, but in this case, I don't care so much. Maybe I do care enough that I want to do it. I just did it to the passenger side though. There, that's just a hair cockeyed there, see? Just a hair. It also doesn't appear to be straight. Oh, my windshield just fell out. See? And now it's resting on the mirror. This is not a good situation. Gotta tuck that under. There. So that's not good. That's not good at all. My windshield's not supposed to pop out on me. Which tells me I don't have enough glue on her side, so I'm going to use my Tamiya Extra Thin. Like I said I wouldn't do it, but I need to do it. Okay? Sorry, guys. My trunk wants to open on its own. I might wind up just removing the trunk. Okay, so I've got enough glue on there, and based on what happened to my windshield, I have a feeling the same is going to happen to my rear window. So I'm just going to have to use my Extra Thin where I need it, and we'll just have to trust. Okay, you're just going to have to trust it. It's just the way it is. So that also means my mirror got moved around. It's probably going to drop off on me too. So let's just leave this for a minute. Tighten up my glue bottles. I want to have this angled down because my mirror wants to kind of fall over. So we're just going to leave that. Okay, I don't want my mirror falling over on me. Leave that for a minute. Let's have a look. What is next? I know basically step 32A and B is putting the chassis to the body. That's next. I want to give this a minute or 5 here to let this all dry so that when I tip this over, it doesn't just fall apart on me. Okay? So we're going to wait a few minutes. In the meantime, we can work on a few other things. Okay? We'll just let this sit here and we'll work on a couple of other things. I got to find some chrome stuff like my taillight bezels. Taillight bezels. I got to put taillight lenses in there. We've got our front bumper and we've got our bush bar that needs to go on the front there. I got to find the sprue with the bush bar on it. It's in the kit, in the box here somewhere. In fact, it's not even on a sprue anymore. It's just sitting here. Okay, there we go. Let's have a look at our front grille and our bush bar. This guy is supposed to just go like this. And maybe it's actually attaching. See, they show it just attaching to this, to your grill. So what? Just glue it in like that? Like, just glue it down onto there? Is that what they want us to do? Just glue it to the bottom? Just touching the bottom like that? Or is it actually going to go in? See, I know on the 124 scale kit, they actually have these little things here for you to slide these pins into. And clearly all MPC did was scale this up to this size, but didn't do anything to the actual bumper. I also want to check out this piece here, which is not on the car, but I should have somewhere. Looky what I forgot to paint. Would you look at that? And the back one too. I got them all primered up and nowhere to go. All primered up and nowhere to go, which means I'm not doing anything with this. That'll be another time. Look at what I gotta paint here, guys. I gotta paint these pieces. I forgot all about these when I painted the body. I totally forgot about these pieces, actually. I totally forgot about these pieces that need to have paint on them. This one's just a little too floppy. I don't like that. When I spray it, it's going to flop like crazy. So what I'm going to do is put a piece of tape over that. Like this. Get in there. And that will hold it a little more sturdy. Nice. This one's not bad, but could still use a little love. But this one, because of the angle, this should be painted orange under here too. So this one's going to be a little tricky. I'm going to have to hold it by the tabs so that I can paint the underneath of it. So this just suddenly turned into a little bit of a painting session. So I'm going to fire up my air compressor. I'm going to get some paint ready so I can put it in the airbrush. Yeah, unfortunately, you guys did not get a chance to see the painting of the body, but at least you get to see the painting of these pieces. I'm going to put the body over here, out of my way. Put this glue out of the way, tweezers out of the way. There's a few things I need, but not these. Come on, there we go. I'm going to lay down some paper towel here, and we're going to spray right directly on my desk. So you guys can see, rather than changing the camera, you can see what I'm doing. So I got to grab my paint. So just be a second. Well, I'm stupid. My paint is right here in front of me. So there's my paint, okay? Let's mix this up real nice. All right, so I'm going to use this airbrush. I will change the camera to the overhead so you can see, and I'm going to actually change my glasses. Something I should have done when I first started this video, but I didn't. And we're still streaming, so that's good. I'm happy with that. Change the camera. I'll put some paint in my airbrush. Okay, so this is going to take probably 4 or 5 coats to do this and get this the same color as the car. Let's do a little test spray here. Yep, okay. Not too thick for a first coat. do the underneath here. All right, so that's that one. Let's just put this, where am I going to put this? I'm going to put this in your bum. No, let's put it, clear a few of these guys out. Put him over here. Okay, let's work on this guy. Okay, that first coat's done. Second coat on this guy. All right, not bad for a second coat. For this side of it, I don't really care so much because it's going to be underneath the car, so it's going to be inside and you may never see it, but I want it, if I look in there, I want to see that that actually is painted orange. You know what I mean? Same with this guy, right? All right. Nice wet coat now on that. There we go. Let that dry. We'll do one more after this. I'll do a nice wet coat on this one now. Okay, one more coat on this and I think I'm done. All right, that piece is done. One more on here just for good measure. There we go. Okay, so that needs to dry, or should I say those need to dry. So I'll spend the next few minutes cleaning up my airbrush and then we'll come back, okay? Okay, so with that done and the airbrush cleaned out, I want to get our taillight lenses put into their respective pieces. Okay, so let's change the camera here. I want to get these installed in these before we go anywhere else. So let's get these off of the sprue and see how they fit. If they fit. How they fit, if they fit. I have to trim this up. There we go. We got a nice big nub ejector pin mark. Not nub, but an ejector pin mark right there. That's unfortunate because you're going to be able to see that. Oh, maybe not. So this is just drop right in there. It doesn't even fit properly. And they did a crappy job of doing the, you can see the yellow on the sprue. I mean, and then of course you've got chrome here, which means it's your glue is not going to hold proper. It just drops in there like that. And this one drops in there like this. Sort of kind of like that. And call that done. Do you call that done? I don't call that done. This one doesn't like to fit. This one's got a real tight fit to it, while the other one is super loose. So why are you so tight? Maybe that nub there. Clean that up, get that smooth. We're gonna fit in there now. Not really. It's this shape is not fitting. So let's file it down and see. I want to have it straight. A little bit of filing. Let's see if that did anything. It kind of helped a little bit. It just doesn't. It's like the whole shape is just wrong. You don't want to fit at the back wall of the. When I get it in like this, she lifts up and doesn't sit flush in there. I'd like to think I'm doing this wrong and putting the wrong lens in. I mean, what if I am? The lens supposed to stick out. That is totally wrong. Although it looks okay, as far as fitment, we've got these big ejector pins sticking in your face, and that is not correct. This is the way it's supposed to go. They're supposed to be inset. But this one does not fit. It's almost, I don't know if it's the molding of this or if it's the molding of this, but it just doesn't fit. I can get it to sit down in there now. Now that'll work. Okay, but because of the chrome, I'm going to have to use CA glue. In order for them to stay in there. Run some CA in there. Regular glue is not going to work on these things. That's just the nature of the game. When it comes to chrome. Although the chrome is thin enough on here, it might actually work. But I'm going to use CA glue because I know it's going to work. Okay. I know the CA glue will work like it's supposed to. Let's get this so that it's straight and pressed down in there. There we go. Okay. Next. This one is not nearly as obnoxious. This one will just drop right in where it needs to go. Close this up before I spill it. See, nice and loose and fits good right against the bottom there, just like it's supposed to be. So there's our two taillight lenses. This one, of course, not being cooperative. In fact, I want to see if I can get that actually squished down. She doesn't want to sit flat. That is the problem. I'm gonna get my pliers in here, squish that down. She's just not sitting right. Terrible molding, MPC. You could have done better. I couldn't have done better, but you could have. Anyway, there we go. Taillight lenses. I wanted to get that done before I go. Let's do one last thing. One final step. And for me, it's always a big step. And that is putting the body to the chassis. We have our chassis sitting here, waiting so patiently. Probably dusty by now. Okay, there's our chassis waiting for the body. And what we can do is, let's take the hood and the trunk lids off. Okay. Open up our hood. Okay. get our masking tape out from inside here. And our trunk lid. Pull that off. Trunk lid is off. Again, take our masking tape out. And now, because my windows are glued in properly, I am confident that these are going to stay in there when I tip this upside down. What I do need to do, is, because I had this very close to my paint, I got a little bit of orange overspray on the inside of my glass. So let's just brush that out. There we go. Okay. Don't forget to remove the masking tape from your hood. Okay, good. So there we go. Windows are in, nice and shiny. Okay, let's put the body to the chassis. I've done this a few times already, but you know, it's always like a big thing when you're finally doing it. Okay, let's go here. Overhead cam. All right. So this is kind of going in like this, sort of, kind of. If I remember correctly, it's been a month now since I did this last. I believe our rear goes in first, like this. And then we open up our body sides here a little bit to allow our rear fender wells to come in. But watch out for your exhaust. Of course, if you're building this kit out of the box, you don't even have exhaust, so you don't have to worry about that. I have to worry about my exhaust tips catching. Okay. Now, working our way down, spread the body a little bit. There we go. I gotta get over this. And over this. So, spread that out. There we go. That's tucked in. Popped out. That's okay. Move it back a little bit. Tuck this in. There we go. There, we're more vertical now. And she's going to drop in. Boom. We're almost there, but we're not quite. See this? That's going to come out. She's got to slide forward just ever so slightly. There we go. And we'll line those up. Push forward. There. And done. That is it. She's looking like a General Lee. I have to admit, I am happy with the way this has come together. My little bare metal foil there wants to come up. That's okay. She's looking like a car, guys. Yeah. Now, obviously, I've got a bunch of gluing I need to do. I think what I'm going to do is I'll get some CA glue in here. And in here. Maybe right here. Where we're connecting here. Maybe here. And then at the back, I don't need CA glue because this is not resin. This is all regular stuff. But I need to determine where it's making contact. I think I can go in here through the trunk. Since my trunk is open, I can go from this side along there and there, in that side along in there. Okay, where the fender well is, I can get in there with glue. So that's that. She's looking like a more assembled car. But this is where I need to leave it for now. This is where I've got to go, and I gotta take off. So, if you guys have followed along for this long, thank you so much. I do appreciate your support. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate that. And leave a comment down below too. That does help my whole algorithm things. It shows that my audience is engaging me and blah, 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 blah. All that fun stuff. Anyway, guys, don't forget, down in the description box, you can check out my other stuff. Twitch, Instagram, X channel, all those things. And I gotta get going, guys. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one. Phew.